All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Connie Korbelic Podcast. I'm Connie, your guide through the messy, meaningful journey of reinvention. Whether you're navigating job loss, career pivots, or just feeling unseen in the workplace, you're in the right place. Together, we rise, reinvent, and radiate uniquely, boldly, and with purpose in today's ever evolving workforce. Because you weren't meant to blend in, you were born to stand out. In our Unicorn Career Series today, we're diving into the letter O for optimism, not the fluffy kind, but the kind that fuels resilience, leadership, and forward momentum, even when the path is uncertain. I'm so honored today to be joined by a woman who embodies this kind of grounded optimism, Ashley Holder. After 15 years of working alongside her dad, Ashley took over her family's business, Touch-UP DFW. It's a commercial furniture touch-up and repair company. What started as hands-on learning turned into a deep appreciation for the craft and for the legacy her father built. In a field still dominated by men, Ashley has carved out her place with skill, consistency, and care. And today, she's not just maintaining that legacy, she's growing it. She's refining her craftsmanship, building her brand, and fully stepping into her power as a business owner and leader. Ashley, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you.
I'm glad to be here. Very nervous, but I'm glad to be here.
Nervousness is a-okay, right? We're not about perfection here. We're about being real and just putting your story out there. I know is going to be so profound for anyone who is watching with us today, perhaps watching live or on the replay. I know they're going to get value just from how amazing you are. And I have so much respect for you. And we've grown so much closer, I think, in the last 5 to 7 years, I think.
Most definitely. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
I know we've always kind of known of each other, but we've become more closer friends more recently, and I appreciate that. And you inspire me, so I'm huge on women supporting other women. So
it's mutual, believe me.
that is so awesome. You guys, Ashley and I were kind of talking before the show. And yesterday, her dad had mentioned something about alpha females and sigma females, and I'd never really heard the term. And Ashley said something that she's a sigma female, and so we started digging into it. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And so all these different things coming across alpha, beta, sigma, delta, gamma, omega, zeta female. Who knew there were so many categories? But I don't know if Ashley wants to share it or not, but I can. Describe a sigma female, Ashley.
Oh my goodness, you can take the lead on this one.
Okay, so according to ChatGPT, at least, a sigma female is independent, mysterious, self-sufficient, doesn't seek validation, and often operates outside of traditional social hierarchies. Wow, that is just amazing. I think I'm kind of a mix of multiple myself, but you have alpha females, confident, assertive, natural leaders, commands attention, and often leads a group. You have zeta females who are completely autonomous, rejects traditional female roles and expectations, focusing heavily on self-definition and independence. I think I'm a little bit of that as well. So who knew that these categories existed? I'm so glad you brought it up, Ashley, because now I have a way of more defining myself and who I am and attributing those traits. Same for you. So thank you so much for sharing that earlier today.
I was just surprised my dad actually knew something like that. That was
right? As a guy, oh, you're a sigma female.
Yep.
That's really awesome. Well, let me see here. Like I said, Ashley, I am so excited to have you, and just knowing you as a friend and then seeing you really step into your craft, and you are so good at what you do. I know you've done some repair for Neil and I in our home, and just really you make things go from broken to just perfect, they were magically, never there. It was never, the flaws never existed. You just make it disappear. And it is so beautiful. And you are so talented in your craft. But I know your father built Touch-UP DFW. He started it, and now it's in your hands. What was it like just stepping into those shoes, and how did you prepare for that transition?
I was ready for it, honestly. My father is very old school. He built it the old school way with hard work, determination, and word of mouth. A lot of times, the old schools don't move forward, and I was ready to put it that way. I was ready to move forward, but he wasn't. At the end of the day, it was his business, so I just had to wait and be patient. Um, COVID kind of stifled the business. Nobody wanted us in their office or their homes. And life kind of made the choice for him to retire. And he gave about 2 weeks, like December 15th, uh, to make a clean start for January 1st. And with my husband's help, thankfully, we were able to, get everything legalized and hit the ground running come the first of the year. And it honestly, without my husband's help, it would have taken a way longer. So shout out to my husband for helping.
Awesome. Our spouses are our partners, our support systems, and so
Yes.
we're so grateful when we find the right individuals and the partners that not only support you in life but in business as well. That's phenomenal. Yeah, old school, right? If it's not
Oh,
broken, don't fix it, right? But
exactly.
I know
Exactly.
on the podcast I've talked about just innovation and how it's not naive. It's a necessity, right? To continue to grow and elevate as individuals in business and professional life. Like innovation is necessary.
Yes.
And being youthful and coming from, you're a millennial just like myself. So we've grown up with the internet, we've grown up with the old school ways of doing things, but we adapt and we are
Mhm.
agile to the changes in technology that comes. I know you and I were talking about Chat GPT a bit earlier and how that's beginning to shape the forefront of what we do. I was reading on some articles this week that it's no longer like searching Google isn't going to work anymore. AI
No.
doesn't rank like Google. It looks for content, it looks for character, it looks for certain things when you're out there. It's like if you're trying to get a problem solved, you're asking for visibility in the market, you're going to have to come up as a result on Chat GPT. Like it's going to have to feed your customers, hey, I need furniture repair. Who can I find? And you're going to want Touch-UP DFW to be a part of that. Oh, well, we recommend this for the DFW area. It's like everyone has to start changing how they market their business.
Yes.
And so I know for me, it's like, well, how can I apply that? How I want to be searchable on Google, but not just on Google. Like I want people to find me and just if they're, in the middle of career transition or job loss or what have you, we have to start applying that technology. And so that's great that you have begun to kind of innovate that. So that kind of leads like right into the next question. So obviously taking over a family business comes with its own set of challenges and, sometimes opportunities or setbacks. What was one of the first changes you made when you took the reins and how did it shape the direction of the company?
I set up a Google page. That was that was the first thing to do. And social media on LinkedIn, I was really heavy into that. I've stepped back a little bit just because I've gotten really busy. But LinkedIn has been a great marketing platform for me. Uh, Networking is also something that I've done not only for the business but for self growth. And like you said, like if you're not growing and adapting and changing, uh, you're basically, I've heard the term that, if your business is not growing, it's dying. You have to keep propelling it forward. And I feel like, that's with your being as well, as you need to grow yourself and not just stay stagnant in the way that you are. So that
Wow.
networking, learning to speak in public. This being on a podcast has been a want for me and my to-do list for self-growth for over a year. And I'm
Wow.
very privileged that you thought of me for this episode. And I'm nervous but super happy to be here.
Yeah, we're just two friends, right? Just having a little discussion on the internet, right? Putting it out there, sharing who we are, what we do, putting that visibility out there for those that are looking for us. So maybe they're looking for you in furniture repair, and whether you have your business, but you also have a personal brand. And so really, I'm out here just as being myself, putting my brand out there as well, but just being a woman, just as a business owner in general, I think comes with its own challenges. It's hard to start a small business, and you sort of took it over and you applied that innovation in the Google page and LinkedIn. And you mentioned networking, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. I know you're very introverted, and I know that was a huge step for you. So let's take you back to like the first networking event that you did. Like, what were you feeling and what thoughts were going through your head when you're like, okay, I'm just going to do it?
Um, I it was definitely, it's one of those things where you're not going to progress unless you just do it. You just have to do it. All you're going to do is fail. And what do you do when you fail? You learn. And that's what I was there to do, is to learn. And every time I do something, I want to sort of set myself up for potential of failure within certain parameters, of course, because I want to grow from that. And I do it not only with networking, but with learning potential new trades that I could offer to my clients. And I will tell people, my clients, that, hey, if they ask me stonework, I've never done it, but I can do the research, I can try, and we can see what goes from there. And so just putting myself out there and knowing that there's a risk of failure, but that I'm going to learn from it.
That right there is optimism, right? You're like, I'm just going to step forward. I'm just going to do it. And, I'm just sitting here trying to digest what you said, set up for failure, but like then know that you're going to grow through it.
Yes.
Like, wow. Like, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt or something. Like, set yourself up for failure, knowing you're going to grow through it.
Yes.
What a perspective. Like, failure's scary. Like, people don't do things because it's scary, because they're afraid, because they might fail.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, to step back and say, well, I'm just going to do it. And I know I'm going to fail, but then I know I can learn and grow through it, is sort of a safety net. It takes the scariness away from it.
It does. Yes.
Wow. Woo! Like, let me set myself up for failure, knowing I'm going to grow through it, because I'm going to learn what I need to learn. They use the term, I say they, but like, it's kind of well known, you fail forward. I think that captivates that. Like, fail forward. I'm going to set myself up for failure, knowing I'm going to grow through it.
Yes.
Wow. That is so profound, Ashley. What a perspective. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is phenomenal. Well, I'm going to stop right here for a second and just sort of see if we've got anything going on social, on the comments. I know it's not my usual time for the podcast, but I was just trying to get everyone out there. All right, let's see. Tony Smith is watching from DC. Hello, Mr. Smith. Thank you so much for tuning in on Facebook. I hope we are sharing information that you're getting value from today. Thank you so much for watching. Let's see, what else? Instagram, we have Karen Smith Fraser. She's saying every podcast is like a master class. She said, yes, do it scared. And Karen says it would be an awesome t-shirt. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt. We should do that. Like, set yourself up for failure, knowing you're going to grow through it. What a banner of just perspective and optimism. I absolutely love it. Miss Fraser is in Bellevue, Washington. Thank you so much for watching from Bellevue. That is amazing. Okay. Well, we will jump back into it here. Let's see. So, Ashley, being a woman at the helm of a business is inspiring. A lot of women like myself support other women in small business. And a lot of times there's just stigma, especially in, I come from the world of manufacturing, you're in, furniture repair. There's not a lot of women in either of those spaces. And so at times you're facing challenges from just not really having a huge scope of like other women in those industries. So what challenges has that presented for you as a woman entrepreneur? And or maybe there aren't any challenges that's presented, but just how have you navigated the world or maybe networked in your space that's still mostly dominated by men?
I haven't had too many challenges. My father's kind of set me up for success, thankfully. And then also with that, the hard work that was, ingrained in me, uh, I've just kind of built on top of that. The only real challenge, and it doesn't happen too often, is when I have to deal with alpha males. And that's the type that, "Oh, I know how to do this. You should do it this way." Someone telling you basically how you should do your job and that you're too incompetent to do it. Um, and the way I got through that is actually by asking other men. And I go to almost a weekly group where it's mostly just men and we talk about business and they give me advice. And so I put myself in those around the people I work with so that I can gain more knowledge about them. And basically that was, treated alpha male as basically it's my way or the highway. And so in one case, they wanted me to fix a chair in a particular way, which I knew was not the correct way. I did get flustered. I did get mad,
Right.
and basically, I asked some people, asked my dad and my mentors and my husband, and I basically came up to make them sign an agreement that if the chair breaks during transit, that it's not your liability to go fix it.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
that's what I did. The chair ended up breaking. They had to get somebody else in Louisiana to fix it, and they didn't do touch-up, they did full-blown refinishing,
Uh,
and the homeowner ended up getting upset about the whole situation that they weren't
ooh,
told, and they tried to hide the fact that, they
yeah.
got a shoddy repair. But,
Hmm.
just trying to figure out how to handle the different personalities of men when it comes to manual or physical labor
Yeah, I
and
think
doing work with them.
that's a challenge in any workforce. I know there is a uh, pastor and he's an author at a church I used to attend, and his name is Ryan Leake. He is putting out a book, How to Work with Complicated People, and that's just he's put a lot of things out there as far as like just the different personalities and how COVID changed the workforce and things like that. And now that everyone's back in the office, like we're seeing a lot of friction in the workplaces because people aren't used to interacting with each other in the same space. Everyone worked remotely. But anyway, just sharing that little blippet. But I like how you touched on, when you're coming into this space, you were around other men, you ask questions, you ask for that business support and that help. And a lot of times we're scared to be the most what's the word, like novice in the room. Like we know that there's more knowledge around us than it gets scary to be like, these people here know more than I do. um and for me, even in manufacturing, i'm I'm in an industry of like manufacturing. I've been there for like 5 years, but the people I'm around, the men in the industry have 35, 40 years of experience, like as old as I am. They've been in the industry that
Mhm.
long. And so when you get comfortable being around the people who have the experience, it only helps you learn and grow faster. And so I'm so great that you mentioned that and talked on that, because you're just a sponge and you can absorb and get the assistance and guidance that you need. And you're taking that and learning it and applying it to your business and not having to reinvent the wheel, but you're learning from a you're learning from a place of experience,
Mhm.
not necessarily your own, but from those around you. And networking is so important, both in personal and professional development and in business development as well. Phenomenal, phenomenal, Ashley. Um, well, you haven't really faced that many challenges, but you've had your father there to support you, and you continue to grow and adapt and lead with grace. And that kind of resilience is fueled by deep belief in your voice personally, in your leadership, and in the work that you do, and knowing that it matters. And I have just seen you transform things, go from broken to looking brand new. And I wish I could portray that on the podcast today, but you are so very talented and have an eye and a skill for what you do. And I think you're the best out there. I don't know if there's anyone else better, but I think you're the best.
There's very few of us, so
Well, what advice would you have for women who are thinking about taking over a family business or perhaps starting their own small business?
oh my goodness, that's a handful, a mouthful, I should say. Taking over a business or starting a new business, honestly, it kind of goes back to uh, listening to people who have been doing that type of job longer. Not to be prideful of your own knowledge. Be that sponge. If someone gives you advice, don't knock it down just because it doesn't sound like it's for you. Go down every avenue that you can try to go down. There's always going to be a little nugget of information for you somewhere. And that's basically what I've done is surrounded myself with people, with men, other women in the industry when I can, and just try to learn from them. And people love to talk about themselves, their knowledge. Just give them that intro, and they will tell you their lives, their work lives, their history. And you can just get so much information from people just wanting to hear from them. They'll give it to you. So that's my one nugget, and to not say no, or not to accept no as an answer. So I have a story of when I was when I was 25. I wanted to be a high-rise welder. I don't like heights, but I was working in a place doing bungee jumping because I like to push my limits. And so I was thinking high-rise welding. It's different. Women aren't in it. I want to try it. So I called a local school, and the guy just laughed at me. There was no if, ands, or buts or different possibilities. It just basically ended the conversation awkwardly. And a couple of weeks ago, I went to a networking event at a welding school, and I asked how many women come into here, and they go, "We have 1 to 2 per class." And that's awesome. You're not just turning them away for being a female. And what I came away with is that don't take no, you can't do that from anyone, especially someone that you don't respect. Forge your own way, find a way to do it, because there's women are showing us now that there are ways to do it. You just have to have the grit, the hard work to get in there and do it.
Absolutely. Well, you touched on a lot of things, a lot of good characteristics, just in not only in the workforce, but in running a business. Just, be coachable and be humble and take that coaching and apply it. And, seek every avenue that you can to learn and grow in your trade or craft or personal branding. And you touched on something, but I call it an informational interview, but basically you're just seeking other people who are in an industry or a field that you want to get into. You're asking questions about them, and hey, would you be open to a 20-minute conversation about how you got here and what you do on a day-to-day? Oftentimes for someone who is seeking employment or looking for a career change, it's those little conversations that can spark conversations and just it's not really like an interview. You're not asking for a job in those. You're seeking advice and understanding, and that's exactly what you touched on. So I love how you mentioned that, and I was like, that's an informational interview, and I've talked on that on the podcast. So it's scary because if you're on LinkedIn, you might just be like messaging someone who you don't really know, but by putting yourself out there, it shows the type of individual you are, and you're seeking to learn and grow. And I've took some personality tests recently, but part of that, one of those results was that I have a love for learning. I like to just continue to learn and learn and learn and learn. And so for me, like the informational interview piece the informational interview piece comes easy. Like I want to know what you do. I want to know how you got there. I had a friend, Joshua Cash, when I went to see a movie, he was like doing this exit interview thing. And I answered all of his questions, but then I was like, well, wait, what is your job title? How did you get here? And he was like, join me for dinner and I'll tell you all about it.
That's awesome.
I was like 19, 20 something. I'm like, I'm about to go to dinner with some strange guy I just met.
And people love to talk and share their knowledge. And that's one of those things where you set yourself up for failure. You're knowing that there may be a no at the end of that question, but it's just a no. And you've still learned from that because you know how to interact differently the next time around when you're asking somebody.
Yeah. You're learning on the spot, you're applying those skills. That's fantastic. Well, for those listening who may be standing at a crossroads, maybe you've lost a job, maybe you're just feeling stuck in a role that no longer fits you. Ashley's story is such a beautiful reminder that reinvention is possible. Optimism isn't ignoring hard stuff. It's choosing to believe that something new is possible, even when you don't see the full picture yet. As Ashley's friend, kind of seeing her learn and grow and just redefine her craft, she gets better and better every day. And that's exactly what the optimism is about, just not being afraid to move forward one step at a time, one job at a time. And like you said, not knowing stone, but knowing you can learn and develop and craft it. That is so amazing. Ashley, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. You've got such a powerful picture of what it looks like to honor where you came from. Obviously, your dad starting Touch-UP DFW, but stepping fully into what you're becoming. And that is optimism. That's reinvention. And really, that's what the series is all about, my Unicorn Career Series. So for those listening, if you're in a season of uncertainty, know your story is not over. The next chapter is still being written, and you have the power to shape it. We shape it one bold step at a time. For anyone out there facing career changes or job loss, I hope today's conversation gives you the courage to look within, identify the skills, values, and passions you developed along the way. The journey of reinvention may seem daunting at first, but like Ashley has done, you can see those talents just as she pivots and grows and creates new opportunities for herself. I'm going to pause here for a second and just check back in on the socials. Miss Fraser says, be open to learn from others. Great idea. Pride aside. Oh no. Karen says we lost sound. Oh, I hope not. So curious about the networking event, inspiring podcast. Thank you. That's what Miss Fraser said. I'm going to check over here. On Facebook, Mr. Tony says, interesting podcast, insightful and stimulating content. Thank you. Certainly getting value. That is wonderful. All right. I'm hoping I hope it was just Karen if we lost the audio. Oh no. Okay. Hopefully not. We'll have to take a look, but let's wrap this up. All right. Find back my place here. All right. So next up, I am going to be doing my next podcast on May the 3rd, and we are getting real with a mystery guest. Not going to define who she is until the end of the episode, but we're reflecting on R for resilience, the kind that you build in the shadows and in the setbacks. and in those silent seasons when no one's clapping. And for my special guest, that silence was literal. She literally lost her voice for over 9 months. But what she found in that stillness changed everything. So join us as we talk about healing, comeback stories, and what it really means to rise when life quiets you down. So our resilience episode, Your Comeback is Calling, drops next Saturday, May the 3rd on the Connie Korbelic Podcast, live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story and just how you have grown and used optimism to really propel your craft and your career and your business ownership forward. I'm so grateful to have had you on today and to have our audience be able to listen and get value from what you've shared in your story. And I wish you continued success as you continue to grow and shape your business. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Absolutely.